with Dr. Leyland. Step into the future, the world is waiting now. Dreams are in the making, we'll show you how. From the books to the screen, from the stage to the stars. Level up your game, let's raise the bar. Innovation, inspiration, it's in our DNA. Breaking through the limits, we're paving the way. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Empowered in your passion, your voice will be heard. Building a legacy with every word. From podcasts to pages, from business to art. Level Up's the place where it all can start. With heart and with vision, we're chasing every goal. Together we'll ignite the fire in your soul. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, we're trailblazing, breaking through the mold. Dreams are alive, let your story unfold. With courage and pride, we'll take the fight. At Level Up, we own the night. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. So let's level up and never look back. On the road to greatness, we're on the right track. Together we'll soar, together we'll fly. At Level Up Academy, we're alive.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to, I almost said 50 Inspirational Connections, but yes, it is Level Up Academy. Today is going to be an amazing day. We are going to be discussing about, this is a start of a series. There's 6 series, guys. This is called Legacy Starts with Your Voice, right? Unmute by Design Empowerment Series. And we're actually going to use a lot of theory or theorists that's out there, and also bridging that gap, right? We're going to unpack and elevate so we can reclaim our self. Today, we're going to talk about Carl Rogers a little bit because we're going to work on self concept, authenticity, and unconditional positive regard. If you have not read about Carl Rogers, buckle in because that's what we are going to do. But in the meantime, here are my sponsors. Now, our first sponsor here is Susanna Dawn. She's not just a writer, she's a truth alchemist, a sought-after editor, ghostwriter, and speaker. Susanna helps heart-driven leaders, creatives, and change makers move beyond the boxes society tries to shove them into. Her work is rooted in radical authenticity, emotional clarity, and storytelling that doesn't just sound good, it feels like you. If you got a story that needs to be told, but the words are tangled, or if you tried hiding behind polished personas and crave a voice that's truly yours, well, Susanna will help you write, speak, and show up with raw and powerful, real presence. She doesn't just edit your words, she helps you reclaim your narrative. This isn't copy editing, guys. This is soul alignment. Now, let me talk to you about my brother from another Mr. Mike Asherbrenner. He is a catalyst for clarity in a world full of noise, whether he's speaking, mentoring, or guiding others through transformative conversations. Mike brings a steady mix of wisdom, grounded presence, and no nonsense truth telling that helps people reconnect with their purpose and rise above the chaos. He is known for his ability to see what others miss. Mike helps you cut through limiting beliefs, outdated narratives, and internal roadblocks so you can lead, live, and love from a place of deep alignment. If you're ready to break cycles, reclaim your confidence, and show up fully in every room you enter, well, Mike is the guide who will walk with you, not ahead of you. He doesn't just hype you up, he holds you up. Scan that QR code. Now let's talk about Bass Porter. He's not here to play small, and neither are you. As a global transformational speaker, mentor, and spiritual guide, Baz brings you unapologetic truth, soul level strategy, and decades of lived experience to the table. He's walked through darkness, faced down the noise of trauma and self doubt, and came out not just stronger, but unstoppable. When you work with Baz, you're not getting surface level motivation. You're stepping into a high frequency container built for radical change. He helps visionaries, leaders, and purpose driven individuals break free from fear, rewrite their inner blueprint, and embody the greatness they were born for. If you're tired of excuses, ready to shift timeliness, and done with playing with safe, Baz is your catalyst. Scan that QR code. He also offers community support, right? For a million dreams. So once you go through his transformative courses or masterclass, you're going to have that community support. Join now. Scan that QR code. What are you waiting for? Here's one of my sponsors as well, Bella Grace. What an amazing elixir. If you are wanting to do something for your inside, your body, you feel like your joint is inflamed, or you're having those aches and pains, or you're looking so ragged and fatigued all the time, this elixir is your fountain of youth. Scan that QR code and go ahead and take us for a spin for 30 days. I know I have, and I've seen such a big difference. Now, if you are looking to learn, right, to be on the boots on the ground type about social media and the power of social media and the tips and tricks that you will never find anywhere else because nobody is telling you, they're gatekeeping this information. Here is a platform called Influencing You. I am there on Fridays, 10 a.m. PST. Join me for an exclusive freebies on there every Friday. Bye. See you soon. Scan that QR code. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It is that time again. Third year in a row. 50 inspirational connections. Now it's not just LinkedIn, it is in all your social media. Are you ready? Scan that QR code and go ahead and nominate yourself or nominate someone else who rocked your life, right? Somebody. This isn't just another hashtag, it's a movement. 50 inspirational connections is where authentic leadership, powerful storytelling, and global impact collide. We're shining a spotlight on the trailblazers, hope dealers, change agents, and everyday heroes who are using social media to build up communities, break the cycle, and amplify with purpose. Join this initiative. You're not just getting featured, you're aligning yourself with a legacy of visibility, credibility, and meaningful connection. Whether you're a thought leader, an entrepreneur, or quiet disruptor with a loud heart, this is your moment to be seen, to be heard, and celebrated across platforms that reach over 150 countries in 6 continents. Because influence isn't about numbers, it's about impact. And together, we're rewriting what leadership looks like online. DM me for more information. In the meantime, scan that QR code to apply. Wow. That was a lot, huh, guys? Anyway, welcome to 50 Inspirational Connections. This is our third year. These are my beautiful and handsome ambassadors. Welcome, guys. Happy Wednesday. Here's my sister. How are you doing, sis?
I said go with the same banner. I mean, it's
That's
it's
right. That's right. We have uniforms today.
there you go. We have uniforms, and part of that uniform is no wigs today.
Right. Seriously, I have to go to doctors today. So anyhow, as we are all going through a lot of things in our life, and we still have to, ask to show up for our community, for our jobs, for our students, for ourselves, right? We forget sometimes ourselves. I was actually thinking, I want to really dig deep in a structured way with unmuting by design. And the reason I want to do that is because I wanted to build a bridge for people who want not only visibility, but empowerment and also leadership as an educator. And the only way to reverse engineer those unmute by design is to put theory that's bulletproof and also soulful, bridging the mission of leveling up through education. So I'm actually going to have, like I was telling Susanna, there's going to be 6 topics in this series throughout the month of July and August, maybe even September, depending on how many people we have in our live stream. But the first one we're going to talk about today is from Carl Rogers. It's Humanistic Theory to Unmute with Authenticity. And so this is our kind of topic for today. Now let me tell you the story, or not story, but like more of a history of who is Carl Rogers. And you guys also heard me talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs here. So Carl Rogers was born in January 8th of 1902, and he died February 1987. He's actually a psychologist and a psychotherapist. His claim to fame literally is about humanistic psychology, and it's called client centered therapy. This is person centered therapy. What he believes is people are inherently good and they are motivated to grow. And that's why I love his theory on unmuting by design for me, right? Because the right environment, one filled with empathy, authenticity, and unconditional positive regard. Remember that positive regard, because this allows people to reach their full potential. And healing doesn't come from a therapist's grieving advice. Okay. It comes from helping people connect with your true selves. And I have a therapist. I'm sure some of you have a therapist, but they're there as not to like, when you go into therapy, you're not really going there like, I'm going to be healed. I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to be 100% good. No, it's there literally sitting down, listening to you, and they give you advice and theory. But I think at the end of the day, no matter how much theory, how much advice, how much people tell you, if you're not willing to look at yourself and grow within you, then you're not going to change. It's just not going to happen for you, right? So the core idea of self concept is how you see and define yourself first and foremost. The second thing is congruence, alignment between your inner self and your actions, right? If you say, I love you, but then you keep hating on people, do you hate the people or do you hate yourself? Or do you even know what love is really? Is that something that you just kind of say because it's something that people say anyway? Just like saying, "Are you okay?" And deep inside, I'm dying, and my automatic response is, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good." Right? Like you do that too. We all do, right? But the unconditional positive regard is accepting someone without judgment. And when you do accept someone without judgment and they truly feel that, then you become a safe space for them to open up, and then they can grow because they feel safe with you. So actualizing theory is, or tendency is, built in drive. Every person has to grow and thrive, right? Some people are growing fast, some people are growing slow, some people are not growing at all. It's not because of anything, but it's because of you. You are the drive of your growth and how you thrive. And it's also client centered therapy that he loves, which is based on empathy, respect, and active listening. So that's a lot on Carl Rogers. But you know me, I'm a teacher and I'm an educator, so I'm gonna have a little bit of um, showing you my PowerPoint here, okay? But humanistic theory is unmute by authenticity. So I marry Carl Rogers' theory and mine at the same time. So bear with me, okay? So we always throw this word authenticity. I want to be authentic, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing, how do you do it? Okay, so this is the groundbreaking work for Maslow and Rogers that transformed personal and professional communication with evidence based roadmap. I know they don't look like that, guys. Okay, and I wish the room was pink. But AI is so lovely, isn't it? Humanistic psychology really was in the mid 20th century, and it's a response for deterministic approach of psychoanalysis and behaviorism. Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers really is the third force in the psychology paradigm. And understanding human development and our full potential. Now, the core for this, like I said, is free will and choice. Humans possess the capacity to make meaningful choice rather than being solely determined by environment or unconscious drivers, right? We're talking about inner core, inner local locus of control, and external. External is life happens for me, and in inner more or internal is I can do this, right? Self actualization is people naturally strive towards growth. We all do. We want to grow. I don't care how who you are, you want to grow. You just don't know how to grow or where to grow or when to grow. And fulfillment and realization of your unique potential. When you start hitting this at a certain age, some people hit certain age younger than others, you want to do something better for yourself, right? And you want to look at the holistic perspective, meaning like the entire of you need to be considered, not like, oh, there's part of me that I hate, but then 80% of you are good. So do you focus on the 20% or the 80%? Right? So they're basically saying, hey, let's go ahead and be better in our relationship and start with listening and not fixing. And this triggered me when Susanna told me about yesterday in her show when she said, in a positive way, that triggered me. The reason that she hates psychology is because people were trying to fix her, right? Like you need to see a psychology to fix you. Where better relationship starts actually with just listening and not fixing. Stop diagnosing people because your friend said so, AI said so, Google said so, that they are this. Stop fixing them. Okay. When you start jumping with advice, opinions, and judgment instead of just like sitting there and listen deeply and literally offer your unconditional positive regard. This is what I'm talking about, positive regard. Um, just say, hey, I'm with you, I'm not trying to change you, right? Your friends are usually venting about a toxic work environment or a toxic relationship. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I don't like my work, blah, 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 blah. Most often, most people will say, then just quit, right? You should just quit, right? I've said this to some friends as well. That's why I'm using that as an example. But that was actually bad, right? Try basically saying, that sounds so hard, Susanna. I hear how trapped you feel, right? You're not giving advice, you're not getting judgment, you're not doing anything, but you are recognizing that she's just venting. That one actually shifts to building trust and connection and emotional safety. And the more you do that, the more her brain realize that you're safe. So I'm going to stop here for a minute before I move on. What do you think, sister?
Uh, quite frankly, that's how our friendship has grown. Is through all that. That's how you've always been around me. Is as you're talking about it, as you're laying it out, and just kind of think about it. Yeah, that it's when you got people that aren't telling you what to do all the time, telling you how to be. Yeah, there are times that you want to hear that, but most of the time, the unsolicited tends to be the worst advice. I mean, haven't you seen that too? Whereas people just start giving you the advice and it's almost overwhelming. And you just sit back and it's paralyzing until you can get clear with yourself to be able to get clear with whatever others are telling you. And that's one of the reasons why I think we connected so well is you've never done that. And when you do something like that, you add something that adds clarification to it, but more importantly, I feel that what you're doing is positive and not negative.
True. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Dr. New. How are you? Louis, you're not late. You're on time. And Paul, welcome to Level Up Academy podcast. I'm starting a movement. I need help. Yeah, let's talk. DM me for sure. Now, I want to move on to this one, defining authenticity and muting, right? So, to effectively apply humanistic principle to self-expression, this is, by the way, Carl Rogers, we must first clearly understand what is authenticity and unmuting entail in both theory and practical approach, because everything is rooted in theory, but if you don't actually get a practical approach, you're not going to do it. You're just going to learn about it, but you're not going to do it. What's the point of growing if you're not able to practice, right? So in humanistic psychology, authenticity literally refers to the state of being genuine, aligning with one's internal values. Ask yourself, what are your values? What are your non-negotiables? What are some things that you will not allow yourself to cross? Feelings, beliefs in both what you're thought about and what you're doing, right? It really involves that congruence between your inner experience and outer expression. If someone hurts you all the time, some people become so bitter and hate on people. Some people, when they get hurt, they try to help others, right? So that honest self awareness without defensive distortion. Like, okay, yeah, I am bad sometimes, or okay, I am messy sometimes, and this could affect other people. Or yes, I'm toxic sometimes when I'm mad, right? That self awareness without defensive distortion. Because often when someone tells us something that we in our heads define differently, we get defensive when they say something, right? And it's not meant to hurt. Well, okay, some people do meant to hurt you. But it's not meant to hurt. It's meant to kind of supposed to wake up. But when you don't feel safe with someone, your automatic response in robotic terms is like lash out. That's not true, right? The connection to core values rather than external expectations. So the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Because you should change for yourself, not for others. And I think often when we change for others, it doesn't last long because that's not your true self, right? So the concept of unmuting extends beyond simply speaking up. It represents the courage to express yourself, whatever that means. Try to figure that out, right? External pressures push towards self censorship. I have to be this certain way, right? This process self awareness, recognizing one's genuine thoughts, feelings, and needs. If you feel really pressured to do something and you don't want to do it, but you have to do it, it just doesn't feel right and it's not going to come out right. But you have to have the courage to overcome that fear of judgment and rejection on yourself first before you say something to other people because it's going to come out wrong. The delivery is also going to be wrong because you're confused between self serving and serving others. And so the expression then is communicating openly with integrity and in transparency by saying, hey, I understand that this needs to be done, but unfortunately, there are some steps that I think we're missing. And this actually is frustrating me. But often we're afraid to express our true opinion, especially at work, because you're going to be judged as lazy, bad worker, or you're just belligerent, right? All of these things that you have in your head. But together, authenticity and unmuting create a powerful framework for your self expression that honors both you with your integrity and others so that you can connect, right? But again, the cornerstone of humanistic theory is to be self aware. What are your thoughts on that, sister?
So every time I talk about moving beyond boxes, I always say you have to be aware. It's like if no, you know what you're supposed to do when you're stuck, and it's only through awareness that you can start taking the first steps. So as you put that there, the self-awareness, like, yeah, you've got to recognize that you can make a difference. You can stand up for yourself and you can move from whatever's holding you back to where you want to go. It's all part of it's all part of that unmuting because I just I'm seeing the two of them so interconnected in so many ways. When you're in a box, you're muted. When you're letting others basically tell you what to do, and so you're not being authentic anymore, you're also being muted. And so my head right now is just finding all these different ways to to bring all of these together. It's like I'm wondering what's coming next because when we start doing this, you never know what projects or what ideas are going to blow up out of it.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, you become more confident when you stop editing yourself, right? Every time you shrink your opinion or you silence your truth or present a version of yourself that you think others will accept, you chip away at your self concept, right? Rogers literally helps you rebuild that. So these are some of the questions that he presents. Who am I really? Right? Ask yourself, who am I really? Where am I being inauthentic to fit in? What would it look like to show up fully? Right? So here's an example that they use is you're in a meeting and you want to offer an idea, but you second guess yourself, right? So you're like, oh, I don't know if I should say that. It happens. It happened to me multiple times.
Yep.
So instead of staying quiet, you say, this may not be perfect, but here's how I'm thinking about it. That's congruence. You just align your inner truth with outer action. And you can actually follow that by confidence if you start doing it often. Now, you start treating yourself better. So, Rogers also said that the unconditional positive regard, this is where he's like core of his theory. It's not just for other people, but it's also for you. Instead of judging yourself harshly for not being perfect or for not doing these things, you keep telling yourself, created a mantra, a sticky note, I'm worthy even when I'm still growing, because we all are, right? This mindset is game changing because it actually breaks the perfectionism. It heals your self esteem, and it's taking that creative or professional risk into a different steps. So let's talk about humanistic principles for your authentic expression, right? The first one they have is unconditional positive regard. This is involving accepting yourself and others without judgment or condition. And when you apply this on the way you communicate, it releases self criticism that inhibits authentic expression. So I'm trying to find like a real example. And I think I see a lot of these things in our friendship between myself, Susanna, and Danielle, right? When we have issues, we don't have filter. We literally just say it. We don't even think about like what is she going to think of me, or how is she going to view me, or she probably doesn't want to be my friend if I keep venting, right? The approach others with acceptance rather than evaluation is important. Don't evaluate me, don't psychoanalyze me, don't give me advice if I'm not, and I actually have a tendency to do that, and I sometimes like, I'm sorry sister, I apologize, I don't know how to like stop yapping, so I'm just going to be quiet for a minute. I tell that loudly because I have to tell my brain loudly, but it create that psychological safety that encourage an open dialogue for us, and now we're to the point where we just start talking. Also, empathy involves deeply understanding both your own experience and the perspective of others. I have a tendency, guys, to be honest, fully honest, is that when someone tells you, okay, this actually happens to me a lot too. Like, I'm trying to be self aware. When someone tells me, like, CJ, this happens to me, I don't know why, but my tendency is to not necessarily compare, but in my head, if I say a similar experience, they would feel better. That's in my head because I'm trying to relate, to have that connection. The problem with that is that now it becomes a comparison to other people. Oh, I have a problem with this. And then I come up with my answer as, oh, yeah, one time I had that same problem. So, which problem is worse at this point now? And your friend is going to not talk to you anymore because it feels like you're comparing your problems, and yours is a bigger problem than your friend's problem, right? I have a tendency to do that, and it's not because I want to compare, it's because in my head I'm trying to make them feel better that your problem is not as bad as mine. It's okay. But you're actually not being empathetic when you do that. So I'm trying to be self-aware when I do that. I was like, crap, CJ, shut the F up. I really am. Because for some reason we have a tendency, and it's not just me. I've seen people do that over and over. Right. So empathy and listening is not about, but we crave human connection as an automatic response to communicate. So, authenticity or congruence, Rogers is basically saying that the alignment between inner experience and outer expression is recognizing when you're self censoring or performing, right? Practice transparent communication of thoughts and feelings. If someone in your circle of friends offends you and you don't feel comfortable telling them that you are hurting my feelings, you need to ask yourself, not your friend, because your friend doesn't know what you're feeling. Why am I feeling this way? What makes this friendship not authentic? Why don't I feel safe telling how I truly feel about this conversation? Acknowledge your limitations and your humanity, but don't judge your feelings. Don't psychoanalyze, like, oh, I'm feeling this way because she did this. No one can make you do anything. You choose, right? So the learner centered approach is honor your internal wisdom rather than external authority, right? Oh, somebody is a doctor, therefore they know better than me. They don't know how you fucking feel. Make that conscious choice about how and when to express yourself, and take responsibility for your communication and your growth. Sister, what about you?
I all of this as you're talking about, and as when you were talking about the empathy one, I know right where you're going on that because I've heard that in other places too, of being careful when you are giving examples. If somebody's talking about what they're going through and how difficult it is, and you talk comparison, and another way I've heard it told is basically one-upmanship. So every time you add something, whether you're mean to or not, some people will understand what's going on and others won't. That's the problem, and you don't know how people are thinking. With all of these, you don't know how things are really being received necessarily. So, yeah, one-upmanship, that tends to, for some people, that will silence them. They'll stop they'll stop talking because they don't feel important anymore.
Yeah.
Or yeah,
You're not hurt anymore because it's like, okay, well, I was trying to tell you what I was feeling, but okay, I guess we were going to talk about you. Go ahead. Like the conversation was starting like, hey, I need to talk to you. Okay. And then you said something what you said, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I have this problem too. And then it becomes just their conversation. You're like, okay. So now you're unmuting yourself by design, by shrinking yourself, and you actually feel like shit after a conversation because you couldn't vent, and then you
but
started internalizing like, oh, I guess I can't say anything because it's always going to be somebody else's issue rather than mine.
there is a way to share though, and if you can preface it with, not to take away from what you're saying, um, I do have an understanding of what you're saying because I went through this, and then take it right back to them and say, "So what's going on?"
Yeah, that's the key. Take it right back to them, and most of the time it doesn't go there, right? So the mirror talk, this is like a 7 days mirror talk, guys. Okay. And I'm practicing it, trying to. Um, the you should start journaling in your notebook and title it, What Would I Say If I Trusted Myself? Okay. What would I say if I trusted myself? And here's the 7 prompts. The first one is, what do I hide to be accepted? And no one's going to see this, just you, but you need to be true to yourself. The second one is, what part of me is begging to be heard? The third one is, what would I say if I didn't need to impress anyone? Fourth is, who do I become when I edit myself? The fifth one is, how does my body react when I silence myself? Usually I roll my eyeballs and my stomach started like being in a knot because I wanted to say something, but I'm like, CJ, just be quiet, right? When was the last time I feel truly heard? Truly. And then the last prompt is, what does my real voice sound like and where is it needed most? Right? Now, student choice and self-actualization, we're gonna be done soon on this one, but really the power of choice in unmuting. Sometimes you have to unmute yourself for many reasons. But if you do it often and not strategically, you do it often as a bystander of your own life, that's when crap happens. Okay? Because, right, at heart of humanistic theory lies the concept of free will. That means the belief that humans are not simply products of their environment or biology, but active agents capable of meaningful choice. So the principle has really profound implications for authentic self-expression. Now, the power of choice in unmuting for humanistic perspective, okay, is recognizing that remaining silent is a choice, as is speaking up. Taking responsibility for when, how, and what you communicate. And the third one is understanding that authentic expression is self directed and not externally compelled. I'm compelled to say this because no, you actually wanted to say it. Selecting communications approaches aligned with your values and your goals. What are your non negotiables, right? This is an emphasis on choice transformation, like unmuting from an obligation into an opportunity for self directed growth and expression. Okay. The path to self actualization. There are 5 for Maslow. You guys can actually look that up, right? There's 5 of them. And I talk about Maslow's for a long time, so I'm going to skip that. But here are some practical strategies that you can do or do not, right? First one is reflective self-inquiry, that journaling that I told you about, right? What am I truly thinking and feeling about this situation when you have a situation? What personal values are relevant to this communication? What fears or conditioning might be inhibiting my authentic expression? Because by asking these questions and you truly answering it, the practice builds self-awareness. It's a foundation of being authentic. And then the I statement is the third one, but the value base is of identifying what is the purpose behind the way you communicate. What are your intention that honors both you and others? Dignity, okay? Because you're digging on people when you want to hurt them, you go low, right? So create that brief centering statement that embodies your authentic self. My intention is to share. My intention is to be nice. My intention is to be useful. But yet the way you communicate and the way you act is not in alignment. Like people want to help, businesses want to help, but then when you go on a networking, it's all about you. You're not incongruent. Okay. The I statement framework is, I think, sharing my thoughts without presenting them as universal facts. I feel, I need, right? This approach embodies Rogers' concept of congruence between inner experience and outer expression. So be careful in your I statements, but make sure that when you say I, it's really you, right? And then the growth oriented feedback reception welcomes feedback as data rather than judgment. And that's what Susanna is saying. You can still preface it, but make sure that you go back to that person. Sister, what are your thoughts?
we need these kind of strategies. We need to get out of our heads in some ways, or actually also get into our heads, because we're trying to we're trying to find that safe space. And as I'm thinking about what you said with the journaling, what would I say if I trusted myself? That that question says a lot. It's like we don't trust ourselves either, and then we're I mean, we know our thoughts go all over the place. So it's finding that ability to herd the cats, as it were, and get ourselves into a space that we can be safe with ourselves as well as with others.
I'm actually going to jump into conclusion, but humanistic path to unmuting is begins with self-acceptance, right? Journaling through mirror talk. This is called the mirror talk with Carl Rogers, right? Those 7 prompts that I ask, if you continue to answer that today, to answer those today, and then every day is one, like obviously there's 7 prompts, so you're gonna do one a day, and then keep that, and then come back in a month, ask the same question, keep that, and the third month, compare them and see what has changed, if there's any, because that also will tell you if you have grown or not. Don't look at your answers though. Don't be cheating. Okay. Don't look at your answers, even if you have to separate in a notebook, because you're cultivating self awareness. Are you being intentional? Are you being aware? But you need to choose courageous expressions by having that congruence between what you're saying and what you're doing. And then that way you can foster genuine connection. And I think if you don't trust yourself, you're not going to trust others. Right? Progress towards self actualization is a daily event, guys. It is every day. You have to do it every day. Right? What are your thoughts on that? And ending this, because I do have to go to a doctor's appointment, but what are some of your thoughts on really Unmute by Design? This is our empowerment series. It's number 1.
Number one, and it's where you've got to start, because it's in this case it's all about us and how we're going to move to the next level. If you're going to unmute, you've got to understand yourself. You got to know who you are, and you got to know how to get past whatever roadblocks, get over whatever speed bumps you have to deal with in life, because it's hard when the person that holds you back the most is yourself, and that is too often the case with us. Is we're the ones that will hold us back the most. And being able to go through this, being able to get to know ourselves better, will make it easier to start taking those next steps, to have that awareness that instead of just knowing what you should do, can do, want to do, to ignite that awareness to take action and do those things so that you're ready for the next step.
Yeah, and that goes with personal and business. And I think that I can't overemphasize it enough. But if your personal life is in shambles, your business also suffers, because you are your business, right? So this is what I'm going to leave you with. This is a Rogers edition confidence reframing. So if your inner thoughts, if you're thinking this, like, I'm not ready to speak up, which I say also, you can reframe it in a humanistic frame by Carl Rogers saying, I'm sorry, I'm allowed to show up as I am, not when I'm perfect. And then if you're thinking, people won't take me seriously, that's your thoughts. The humanistic reframe is, I'm not here to perform, I'm here to connect. Okay. And then the last one is, what if I mess up? Because we always say that, especially when we're teaching. Mistakes don't undo my worth. My value isn't conditional. I'll correct my mistake, I'll apologize, and then move on. Don't dwell on it, right? So these are just some of the thoughts that you can reframe yourself. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you, Susanna, and I appreciate you. Watch for the next series of Unmute by Design Empowerment. We're going to have another theorist and psychology or psychiatrist or psychologist that helps us rebuild our mind, because the way when you own a business and you want to be valued, you want to be heard, people need to know that you show up confidently, but also with your heart, right? Like, this is what you do and this is really what you want to do, is you want to help others, show up for other people, and you need to be inspirational for yourself before you can inspire others, right? And I think people always say, like, if you're in social media, you're just narcissistic because you're looking for approval or vanity measures. It's actually not vanity. It's more of like you're using your platform to help others speak up for those of the people who can't speak up yet, right? So thank you guys so much for being here. Lewis, I'm so glad you're here. Lots of good food for thought. Yeah, we're going to bring that in. Empowerment series. We're going to look at all the theorists that we feel that helps us unmute by design. All right. Have a beautiful day, guys. Don't forget 50 Inspirational Connections. It ends on August 2nd. So keep having people go to levelupwithdoc.com. Just have them fill it out, and then they'll get an email from me after August 2nd. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day. And I will see you tomorrow for all the ambassadors, or some of the ambassadors. Obviously, Susanna will be there, and hopefully Mike. But if you're an HOB, I have a 1 p.m. networking event today at PST. Okay. Bye. See ya.
Bye.
I started in the silence, behind closed doors. Dreams too loud to keep tucked in the floorboards. Late nights, broke days, no applause in sight. Just coffee, hustling that fire to fight. They said, play small, but I'm built to expand. No silver spoon, just grit in my hand. I will every note like armor and steel. Visibility's a battle, but I'm real and I heal. From invisible threads to the front of the stage, I'm rewriting the script, turning scars into page. Level up, rise above the fear. Let them hear your voice, make your purpose clear. Every step, every stumble, every tear in the rough. You were made for this moment, you are enough. Level up, break through the doubt. Turn the whispers of your past into a victory shout. You ain't just chasing clout, you're building a legacy. Now the world's gonna see what they couldn't believe. What they couldn't believe. See the back end, just a headline glow. But success is built slow, where the struggle don't show. Algorithms change, but your mission's divine. You're the brand, you're the vision, you're the power behind. You gave free just to prove you have value inside. Now it's invoices paid and your name amplified. You're not just in business, you're changing the game. And your visibility, that's more than a name. No more shrinking, this is expansion. No more asking, this is commanding. You've been the spark, now you're the flame. Entrepreneur by fire, fueled by name. Level up, rise above the fear. Let them hear your voice, make your purpose clear. Every step, every stumble, every tear in the rough. You were made for this moment, you are enough. Level up, break through the doubt. Turn the whispers of your past into a victory shout. You ain't just chasing clout, you're building a legacy. Now the world's gonna see what they couldn't believe. What they couldn't believe. To the late nights, the lost friends, the risks you took, to the brand you built and the space you shook. Here's your crown, your moment, your spotlight beam. You didn't just chase the dream, you became the dream.